y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. For today I have an eye tutorial for you. I feel like we haven't done one in such a long time. This beautiful neutral eye using the bougie, basic, stunning, super expensive Natasha Denona Biba palette. Prior to her dropping the Biba palette, none of her other shadow palettes really appealed to me. Not that they were bad. Well, first of all, $130, so that was the first reason. And then secondly, the color scheme just didn't grab my attention. But when she dropped this and I saw it on Instagram, I said, oh my goodness, that is a beautiful neutral tone palette. Nothing special about it, it's just beautiful. However, I was gifted this and I am ever so thankful for that. Dee, thank you so much for gifting this to me. That was an extremely kind gesture. This is the look that I created with it. Let's go ahead and get into the look. All right, this is our look, guys. It's just a neutral palette. Now, I hate saying just a neutral palette because everyone is aware of the crazy hefty price tag on this. However, this is just a fantastic neutral palette. I have never, it's the formula, man. The formula gets you. The color story, it really got me. I remember when I first saw this when they were launching it, and I was kind of like, why am I drawn to this neutral palette? Because I'm typically not, but yeah. So here we are. Let's get into it. Eyes already primed with Urban Decay Primer Potion and Caffeine. So the first shade we're gonna go in with, well, hold on. First of all, I was nervous when I first got this palette. This was a gift to me, by the way. Shout out to you, Dee, thank you so much. Because I was worried. I was like, are these shadows gonna be women of color friendly? And they are. The only color that really doesn't show up the way that I wish it did is gonna be this color right here. And this is actually, we're gonna start this off in the transition, in the crease. It's just gonna be basically there to help blend and build on. It's not really gonna do anything else. This is the one color in the palette where I was kind of like, it's a dud. But out of the whole palette, I mean, one dud, not bad. Not bad at all. And I'm using a MAC 224. All right, next up, we are going to take the shade Pasha, this beautiful burgundy tone right here. And we are going to pop that starting in the center of the crease here. And I am gonna flick it out on the end just a little. And going back with that MAC 224 and just circular motions to help blend that out. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of a smaller detailer brush, still using Pasha. And I'm just gonna put that down here on the outer as well. All right, now I'm going to be grabbing that smaller blender brush. This was a Morphe M514. Now we're gonna go on the lid with this shade called Rayon right here. Sorry if my lighting's a little wonky. I'm filming later, way later than I typically do. It is currently 7:30 p.m. I don't ever film this late. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta get your stuff done. And look how big this mirror is. Hello. And we're basically filling in all over the lid with this shade. These mattes are insane. Okay, this shade in here, Rustic, this beautiful copper tone. I'm just gonna take my finger and I'm just going to place this over top. Now this isn't one of those shimmers that's a translucent, you know what I mean? Have you ever picked up a shimmer and you put it on your bare lid and there's like no depth, no background to it? This is not that. I just like the way that the shimmers look on top of the mattes. It's a rare occasion that in one palette you can load on the shimmer onto the matte and it still blends out really well. All of these shades work so well in conjunction with each other. It's crazy. Everything blends on top of each other. Everything blends well. It's truly something. Right now we're gonna go in with Shine. And I'm sure you know where this is going, in the inner corner, in the tear duct. Ooh, I accidentally got too much. And then just to deepen the outer corner a little bit, we're gonna go in. I've been loving this taupey cool tone. I've been loving cool tones a lot lately. And this is just gonna go on the outer, just to deepen a little more. And I forgot, I'm gonna take a little bit more of Shine, and we're gonna pull that up. I've been using this palette like crazy. Definitely the highly most used palette of the summer for me so far. Okay, now I'm going to go in with some Earthquake Liner by Marc Jacobs on the bottom. Okay, now the next product that I'm gonna use, a little upset because it is a discontinued product. Let me try to search it one more time. Yeah, I can't find it. It is discontinued. So I have been watching and obsessing over Nikki makeup on YouTube, just the way she does makeup. So good. And you guys know I'm not a crazy like winged liner kind of girl. However, Nikki makeup, she does a lot of her winged liner with powder, and I love that look. I don't care for a super like strategic, sharp, strong wing, but one that's just kind of messy and feathered, winged out with powder. So this is the Bobbi Brown Intense Pigment Liner. I have three different ones. Yeah, this one is forest. It's got the green in the middle. I have a plum, and then I have another one with the blue. And these are absolutely, and y'all are gonna be so mad at me, but if you're a beginner person and you just want something that's a little bit easier to work with, you're probably saying, what's the difference between this and a regular powder? This, the formula of it, when you place your brush in it, your brush instantly picks it up. It's super intense. And I feel like with powder sometimes, with certain formulas, when you try to line your eye with it, sometimes it'll start fade and go away, but this is so pigmented and intense, it does not do that. And I hate that they don't make these anymore, because this is the plug as far as doing liner. Especially if you maybe are a mature woman, or if you have smaller eyes and you like to tight line, this would be it for you. And I'm just using my Ardell brow brush. This brush is $4 from Sally's. And it is the best brow brush. I use it for if I'm using like pomades, because it's got the spoolie on this side, and you've got the angled brow brush on the other side. Right now I'm just gonna start winging this out. And it's okay if it's not like super perfect. That's the beauty of it, I think. And then what I will do is to just kind of tone it down. If I got a little heavy-handed, all you gotta do is just take a blending brush, and you can just start blending over it to fade it down a little bit. Then I'm just gonna bring it down, just connect it to the lash line. Then of course, if we get a little too messy, we can always take our sponge and just clean up. And we'll take a little just to darken up. And then last but not least, throw on some mascara using my Benefit Bag Out Bang. Alright, so this is our eye look, and I love it. I feel like the liner just kind of takes it to another level. And of course, if you're not into this kind of liner, you can just skip it. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of my face and then we'll be right back to talk about the palette some more. All right, y'all, so let's talk about this palette. Do you need it? Y'all know me. I am real and I am practical, and I'll be 100% honest with you. Had this palette not been gifted to me, I would have never purchased it, only because it is $130. Where I am in my life right now at this moment, I cannot fathom spending $130 on an eyeshadow palette. I just can't, you know. However, if you are just one of those people where, you know what, maybe you do want to splurge on yourself, because there is nothing wrong with splurging on yourself, and I won't judge anybody for what they find value in, because I know people look at me and think, oh my gosh, she spends all that money on makeup, that's stupid. Everyone finds value in different things. So if you want to spend $130 on this palette, I'm gonna tell you, you won't be sorry, okay? You will like it. There is one thing I do want to note. So with her palettes, these shadows are the formula is interesting because it's almost like a soft, creamy formula, if that makes any sense. Basically what I'm trying to get at is this matte shadow here, this matte black one, it's like a matte black, but it's very smooth and creamy, and it's super soft. So it is the softest shade in the palette, and mine has fallen out. I've heard a lot of people do reviews on theirs and they say that theirs is falling out. So if you do get this palette, you know, just be aware that that can happen. In fact, I want to put a little bit of this on my eye just so y'all can this is gonna change the look a little bit, but that's okay. Yeah, it goes on super easy. Yeah, very pretty. So that just kind of gave the look a little extra va-va-voom. Do you need this palette? No, because it's expensive. That is the only reason why I'm saying you do not need it. If you want to spend money on it, you will not regret it. I, for one, am happy that I have it, and I have been using it. This has been the most used palette of the summer for me so far. I love this palette. I have really just been into the kind of like less is more kind of look, because you know we're still wearing makeup, but just less is more, neutral on a lot of days. And I have other days where I do kick it up a notch, but I've been loving this. Now, since I cannot recommend this to you guys, not because it's a bad product, but just simply because I do not feel comfortable recommending something this expensive, is the quality there? Quality's bomb, no issues with it. However, I did go through my collection and I did pull a few other neutral palettes. Now, these palettes are not a dupe for this whatsoever, but these are just some neutral palettes that I have in my collection and ones that I do enjoy. We'll start off with the ones that are in my client kit first. This one's still high end. It is the Nars Skin Deep palette. Now, it's still, I believe it's like, what, $59? Is it $130? Rocket in Caesar! Dogs ain't nothing but permanent toddlers. So if you're thinking of getting dogs, a dog, just know it's a permanent toddler. Doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the Nars Skin Deep palette. This stays in my client kit. I use this heavily, especially in particular on my medium to brown to deeper skin women of color. This is just a really great palette to have in my client kit. If you are someone who is maybe simple eyeshadow wearer and you want to invest in your eyeshadow, you want something that's like a holy grail every day, you can use it daytime, nighttime, whatever the case may be, highly recommend it. This is a good one. Next up, these two are old and I love them. I keep these in my client kit now too. The Tarttlette In Bloom palettes. I used to use these like crazy. So this is the original one. And as you can see, again, I said these are not dupes for the Natasha Denona palette, but these are just other neutral palettes that are not as expensive. I think this one might be like $45 or so. I love this palette. This palette is an all matte palette. I heavily use this a lot for if I'm doing something that maybe it's like for more so headshots or bridal. On my more mature women, this palette is bae, and Tarttlette In Bloom. This one is a little bit more of a deeper neutral tone. Still love it. This burgundy shade right here, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. In fact, that kind of looks like the Pasha shade that I used in the Natasha Denona palette. Absolutely love this. And then last but not least, ABH Sultry. Now ABH Sultry does definitely have way more shimmers than the Natasha Denona, and with the exception of this Bloom shade here, once you take this away, this ain't nothing but a neutral palette. Isn't it crazy how when you can just cover up one shade, it makes the palette look totally different? I guarantee, like, if this shade wasn't in this palette, a lot of people wouldn't have bought it, because now it just looks like a, you know, just a basic palette. But this is also a neutral tone palette. So those are a couple of other options that I have in my collection if you are looking for something that is neutral. Now I know Tarttlette, the original one, it's a neutral tone, but it's got more neutral purple tones. And here, the Tarttlette In Bloom, no sorry, the original Tarttlette, the Tarttlette In Bloom, still neutral, but a little bit more of a neutral grunge. I love them. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Down below, I want to know if you have tried any of Natasha Denona's products before and which ones. Also, if you are someone who loves Natasha Denona products, eyeshadows, make sure you check out Kinky Sweat. If you're watching me, you probably already know who she is because she's just amazing. She is the Natasha Denona 1 palette 3 look queen. I love it when she does her eyeshadow tutorials, just simply because all 3 looks are always different. They're super detailed. She's amazing. She does a ton of tutorials using the Natasha Denona palette, so if that is something you're into, make sure you check her out. Alright guys, so you know the deal. Keep it simple, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.